And firstly, I want to thank all the deputies from across the House and different parties and groups for their comments, and their very helpful and constructive comments on this bill, and for their support on it. And I also want to specifically thank Anne Murphy and the Examiner for all the work that they've done on this and highlighting this. This bill would not have been coming to light, and we wouldn't be having this discussion, we wouldn't be trying to address this if it wasn't for their very important work on this, which really shows the huge importance of independent investigative journalism, and how important that is to our democracy, to have that strong independent journalism. It's quite notable from the comments from most deputies. Most deputies talked about the power imbalance, that wider issue of the power imbalance. And that has to be tackled if we're serious about this. I very much want to welcome the Minister of State recognise that in his comments. That is significant, because we often don't hear that recognition from wider government about the problems of the power imbalance. So that is important that it's been recognised. That does need to be across government. It needs to be seen, it needs to be named, it needs to be tackled. And there is a contrast, just in the comments that were made, there's a real contrast between the Minister's opening comments, where he recognised that, and then the kind of official comments that were probably prepared by the department, which don't recognise that and don't name it, and those comments do talk about the protections in place for tenants, and it is correct there isn't no protections in place for tenants, but there wasn't that recognition of how that needs to be in those official comments, about how we need to go much further to create a situation where tenants have a level of protection, so that power imbalance can be tackled and addressed. Welcome the Minister of State's comments in terms of the importance of gathering data on this, and would be welcome to hear from government as to what they intend to do on that. We have heard earlier from government about the difficulties they feel in terms of gathering data, and how difficult and invasive that would be, and how upsetting that could be for people. But we do want to hear from government in terms of government having resources in this area, what they want to do. It's welcome that we've been told that Minister O'Brien is looking at what the role of the Residential Tenancies Board in this, and I agree very much with the earlier comments of Deputy O'Brien on this. The RTB should have powers to investigate specifically on this, and should be able to specifically strike off any landlords who are found to be engaging in this practice, or in placing ads, and that would be an additional deterrent. No landlord who engages in this, or attempts to engage in this, is in any way fit to be a landlord. So I want to hear from the government what they're actually going to do about that. It's very clear that we have cross-party support across this House for this to be dealt with, and for this to be dealt with urgently. That's what most people asked for. So it is welcome that Minister McEntee will engage with us on this bill about how it can be advanced. And we have had helpful and constructive comments from Minister of State Brown about the specifics of the legislation and specific areas that they want to see addressed and improved. But the key issue here is that the government has the access to the Attorney-General's advice, has the access to the departmental resources on this. So in terms of progressing this further now, the ball very much is in the court on the government, and we will work with you on that and help as much as we can and be constructive on that. But we need action on this, and there's been a very strong message from this House on that. It is worth saying that the vast majority of landlords would find this practice absolutely abhorrent, as does everybody else. If we don't address that wider power imbalance, though, and the wider issues in the sector, then we will not be taking enough action to deal with this. So I would implore the Minister of State, who has recognised that issue here, that needs a wider impetus from across government. Gurv Margaret.